All right. And I did tune my guitar for the first time in maybe like 50 episodes. I tuned my guitar. Well, and I figured since I messed up last week, I should do a little special one. So I got the little Baby Taylor out, and I figured we do a little bit of an improvement on the Garden Party theme song. So here we go.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Garden party, and I want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The garden party.
Woo!
Yeah. All right, Phil, introduce yourself.
New chords.
Wow. What up,
Amazing.
everybody? It's your favorite plant parent and regular parent on his favorite podcast, the best podcast about growing plants that we know of today.
That we know of.
2024. Phil from Phil's Fix.
Awesome to have you, Phil. I was hoping Facebook would be up, and Facebook had like Meta had like an outage today.
It's been messed up. I think that might have been a reason why I didn't get that link from you like I was supposed to.
It's possible because I just resent it earlier. Because for some reason I came home for lunch and I shot a little bitty video in my garage and I tried to post it like at noon, and like it was acting so weird. It was acting so strange.
Yeah, I couldn't get stuff to post earlier.
Yeah, and apparently it was like 100, couple thousand people that still had the same problem. So we weren't the only ones apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is Wednesday. It is the garden party. We just got Phil. Introduce yourself, dude. Thank you very much. We got a returning guest host, Mr. Vikram. He's subbing in for Dez this week. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Vikram.
Yeah, I'm Vikram. I'm the plant prof. I am a horticulture professor up here in Lubbock, Texas. And I still do have Dez's stuffed squirrel here.
Yes.
Sitting on my desk so I can, still rep that well.
There you go. Perfect.
There we go.
Fantastic, man. The squirrels are in the house. We got to have squirrels. We can't have Dez. We got to at least have the squirrel. Yes, absolutely. Well, Phil said it earlier, and he did say we were the best plant garden podcast that airs on Wednesdays. But the best one that airs on Saturdays and Sundays is with Enoch, the urban gardener. It's really great. And we got Enoch Graham. I want to say it right from now on. Go ahead and let's get growing. That's what it's called, right? Let's get growing.
That's right.
Yes, introduce yourself, dude. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting you.
No problem. I'm Enoch Graham. I'm the host of, the Urban Gardener channel, where on Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, we have a show called the Let's Get Growing Show, interviewing all sorts of awesome, wonderful gardeners out there, including all of you. Yeah. So
it's
again, we
so
have fun
funny.
each week.
Yeah, it's so awesome that we share so many, guests. We have I think I get some ideas from your guys, and you get some ideas from my guys, and
that's right.
It's awesome. It's good inspiration. But you've had some people on that I could never get on. And so we'll talk about that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
but yeah, you're people who watch your show, they will notice that your production value is a lot better. You've got like you're just like watching like a real TV
I don't got
show.
a theme song like that though. I'm telling you, come on.
Well, I don't have a theme song like that. I practiced that for like 30 minutes earlier, and I still screwed up a little bit. But no, man, talk about your show and how long you've been doing it, and what inspired you to get going.
Yeah. The show we are about to I think next week will be the last show for 2024. So that'll end our second year of doing the show. And it's again, been really fun talking to all of these really great gardeners. I have been really fortunate since I started my whole adventure on gardening YouTube and doing all that sort of stuff to meet some pretty great gardeners and with pretty good sized channels and all that. Guys, like one of my first guys I got to meet up with, John Kohler, and things like that. So I've been kind of really fortunate to kind of meet and know some of these more, I guess, well-known gardeners. And about a couple years back. I'd say maybe just before like pandemic time and all of that sort of stuff. I started got familiar with this platform StreamYard. And usually what I would do is I would go, travel up and down the West Coast and go visit all of these great people and create videos and do interviews with them and everything. But because I found this, I was like, wait a minute, now I can expand beyond the West Coast and I can get, gardeners from everywhere and have some, just have really fun gardening conversations with people because, ultimately I'm just a plant nerd and, just totally love gardening and I'm passionate about it. And again, too, I've never really on my channel or anything really kind of pushed myself as like a gardening expert or in that sort of sense, or really in the sense of teaching people and stuff when it comes to gardening, all of that. So I thought that it would be a great idea to kind of, bring those who do, who do have really great knowledge and to be able to have conversations with them, to be able to kind of, relay some of that gardening knowledge out there through my channel and our show and everything. And it's been a great experience so far. First year was really great. I was surprised I could even get some of the guests that I got. It was, to me, I was really blown away too when it came down to it. So we just kind of doubled down this year and expanded from just doing Saturdays last year to having a Sunday show too, because of how kind of successful that kind of was. I ended up having all these really great gardeners and people on the show. And when I was thinking about what am I going to do next year and planning for that, when I had all these people I wanted to have back on the show, but I also had a major list of people I still wanted to have on the show. So I was like, oh, we're going to have another show. We're going to have to make this a whole weekend thing and everything. And and again, too, I'll be talking about this Saturday as we're kind of doing a year in review. Is just this year's just been phenomenal. And the guests that I got this year have really just blown me away too. It's just, I can't believe it either. Like I'll just mention one, Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me. This is a dude that I've been a fan of and have followed since his channel was about as big as mine. And just when he answered my email, I was like, whoa, right? I can't believe this. But and again too, so for that, in that sense, that's what it is. It's just me kind of getting a chance to have fun and enjoy conversations with more knowledgeable gardeners and just kind of really just get the conversation out there, build the community.
Are you trying to tell me you don't have to dress like Mark Valencia to get his attention? Because I tried that.
It was a great effort, Dustin.
I love that. I
don't know if I asked you this. I was going to ask you if he's because you talked to him after I had posted that. Did he see that and was he offended? Was he offended by my Australian?
I don't know if he has or not, but I'll definitely make sure he does.
Okay. I was afraid I went too Russell Crowe on it.
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was, and I'm sure he's just one of those types of person.
You're not entertained.
I think he would love it. I think
I think it was too much like South Park Russell Crowe, like fighting people around the world. Like that was what I think I went too far on that one. So if he doesn't like me anymore, I get it. There's plenty of people that don't.
Right.
No, but I get exactly what you're saying, because we used to try to do this in person. And when I tried doing all this stuff, I tried doing a podcast with my buddy Jorge and Brandon. And we tried to do it in person. Although it's only when I talk that it does that. And it's hard to coordinate everybody at one time, but if you can do it online, it's so much easier. And I've gotten to meet people like you, people like Vikram, like Phil, and become really good friends without, I've only met either one of them in person once before,
Yeah. That's great. I just again, I just love this gardening community, and ultimately, it's kind of what the whole show's about, is expanding and building on what this gardening community is about. When it comes down to it, is people just kind of helping each other and working with each other and helping spread the knowledge of this, this really great, I don't know, it's hard to say what it is, pastime or hobby, or for some people it's it's growing food. It's what they got to do, that sort of thing, and it's just been a blast, and I've been loving it. I can't wait for next year.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Good, Phil. I know I know you're dying to talk. Say something, Phil.
Me? Only always.
Only always.
No, I as far as creating content, I'm newer, only a few years in at this point, and I love having your podcast, Enoch, because like the wealth of knowledge, and you have it organized so well. Like we're just kicking it over here, which is great.
Right.
Go back,
Right.
I can giggle along the path of collecting facts that I had forgotten we talked about, and but yours is like I can go in and like, get all my information, and like because you have such a depth chart of people over the years, like it's endless knowledge, and it's more than happily given by all these creators because they tell it from their point of view, and you can really extract that really well. And so it's something that you can always only aspire to emulate.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, Enoch. I'm just a backyard gardener. I'm no expert. I'm not a botany professor or a horticulture expert or a agronomist or anything like that. So I need people like
Desert Roses,
like Vikram.
That's right.
I got to bring smarter people than me onto the podcast, so it looks like I'm not just some idiot on the camera. So I appreciate people. I appreciate people like y'all, especially.
You gave away our secret. You gave away our secret.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think all of us have been on your podcast. Vikram, you've probably been on the most recent, I think, right?
When was that? Was that over the summer?
I thought it was recently. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I had both you and Phil on more recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was
Josh,
like
you had the plant techie on the other day. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. That was just a couple weeks back. We had him on, and again, another one of those things how we're kind of working within each other in a community and in that sort of thing. Sharing guests in a way, if you would say, but
for sure,
in the long run is
it's really strengthening the gardening network, though. Like having the gardening network. Together.
Exactly.
Looking at it from how we pull each other's information from these creators and gardeners and plant professionals really creates great perspective for us to absorb that info.
Well, and it also inspires people like to create their own podcasts too. Like, I think Vikram's had like 8 podcasts. Or like he's a very hard man to get on. So whenever he says he's available, I get him.
That's right.
But like, Phil could do a whole podcast once a week just talking about figs. I mean, he could go live once like if you did the fig cast and you did it once a week on Monday nights, people would tune in every Monday night. They would love it. I mean, and Vikram, he's got plant anthropology and then his NPR show or whatever and all that good stuff. I mean, it's there's enough room for all of us, especially with Spotify.
And there's even more. There's even more room. There's even more room for more. We should have garden networks on here on YouTube of people just.
My gosh.
Could you imagine all day long is net one right after another, and just people just talking about it. And again, too, that just goes back to how much of a nerd I am about this stuff. I just love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask since that last week we didn't talk much about gardening. We kind of went down some rabbit holes.
Really
started talking about possums and slow lorises.
Oh yeah. I was listening into that. That was great.
There was some chaos last week, but I think Vikram has probably gotten the coldest where he is. Because I think you're in 8A, right, Enoch?
Up in 8A here in Southern Oregon.
And so you've probably gotten the coldest weather so far, Vikram. How's it been?
Mostly pretty mild, honestly. This has been our coldest kind of snap. We had a few snow flurries yesterday. Nothing major, but it was like 26 last night, 25.
Oh, wow.
It got pretty cold.
Okay, I think I got down to 22 the other night.
Okay.
Ooh.
We got down to 23, and I was like, there's still some cracks. I was, I joke about this. I reached out to Millennial Gardener because I know he's the other guy out in my area that's out at 11 at night, making sure my greenhouse is working properly and all my plants are going to make it. And we do what we have to do as gardeners. So everything that we've grown and cultivated makes it through. Or it doesn't, and we're ready to let it just run its course.
That's right. Absolutely. My garden's kind of in that run its course right now for sure. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, so when it got down to 22, what made the cut to keep protected and what didn't make the cut?
Well, I haven't really. That's what I'm saying. It's on a run its course type of situation right now. I mean, if anything's going to survive, it's going to survive on its own out there as far as this winter's concerned. I'm not putting too much energy into most things this winter. I've got a lot of things going on, but so I'm kind of at a, I don't know, just kind of gearing up for this next season and all of that. I don't have too many things that are really, most things are kind of annuals out there, and a lot of the greens, and I got a couple of brassicas out there, some broccoli and things like that kind of didn't mature completely, that sort of stuff. But whatever kind of makes it through the winter. We've got a few kind of perennial things out there that we're just, they're gonna have to just kind of tuck in and handle and do what they do through the winter and all of that, and then we'll get restarted again for this next year. Here in the next couple of weeks when I start seeding out all my peppers for next year.
Nice.
Yeah. Kind of the first thing of the year, is right after the first of the year. I celebrate the beginning of the new year by starting all my pepper seeds.
I just started a bunch of them actually. I started because it seems like the spicier the pepper, the longer it takes to get germinated and established.
They're slow.
Especially like I did a lot of habaneros, and I got some like chocolate habaneros and some mini white habaneros, some Scotch bonnets, and maybe even some chilteppins. And so I went ahead and started those, and I've gotten my seed. I did the video of my seed starting area in the garage, and that heat map plays such a huge difference.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Huge difference, even with like the desert rose seeds. So this is funny. I ordered desert rose seeds on a site called unusualseeds.com. And I was getting like spam notifications on my phone saying that like the US customs or whatever was like, but I was too afraid to go to the link because I was like, this is either my seeds that are coming from Romania or Serbia or wherever, or they're going to steal my identity. So I erred on the side of caution. And
that's right.
They don't give you a tracking number. They just tell you, hey, here's your receipt. If you don't get your seeds in like 8 weeks, it's lost.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay.
It's in the ether.
That's
you get
good.
it or you don't.
And so I ordered them back in like August, and it was like it was like around October, Halloween by the time I like got a response back from them. And like, well, do you want to you want a refund, or you want us to resend the seeds? And I was like, well, you're not really supposed to start desert rose seeds like in the middle of winter. I was like, but sure, I spent like $100 on seeds. Go ahead and send them back. And so I got them, and it was like in a looks like from Borat's, actually you pulled it on Borat's mailbox, this envelope, and there was a ton of seeds, and they gave me a bunch of bonus like free seeds too. And I started them all. Within 5 days, every single one of them had germinated. Wow. It was crazy. I've never had that kind of germination rate. So I think my desert rose seeds my collection has gone up by 2 or 3 by now. I have with all the seedlings. It's pretty wild, but it's that heat map. The heat map plays it is such a game changer. Someone was asking me if it was necessary, and I was like, it is a game changer. It's worth the investment to get a freaking heat map.
And some of them really aren't too expensive. Like you can pick them up fairly cheap, and we use them in the greenhouse all the time. Like even with a greenhouse, like it really gives us a good push in the spring.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really helpful. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I was just gonna say they are really helpful for sure.
Yeah.
I this last summer, I had a friend of mine who is in the cannabis industry here in Southern Oregon, and was like, I got some stuff here I thought maybe you might like to keep. And one of them was this huge, it was like a 2.5 foot by like 6 foot heat mat, just like the little ones that you usually use, like this and that exact same thing, just like huge. And I was like, oh, right on, that I'm gonna use that. That's perfect.
That's awesome. No, I would highly, that's what I have. I used to have a bunch of like 10 by 20 feet long, and I was like, oh, you mean I can just use one plug where I would normally use like 5? And so I just use one now, and you don't have to like keep the seed mat under them. Like once they're like fully germinated, you can pull it off.
Yeah.
You don't have to you don't have to keep it on there the whole time. But I found them on Amazon. You can get them for like 15. You can get like a 6-pack for $62 with an $8 coupon. I mean, and they don't go bad. They're literally just they're plugs with copper wires going into a plastic tray. I've even gotten mine wet. I don't pull my trays off to water, and they get wet.
No, I water too. Yeah, they're resilient.
Yeah, I just wipe them off with a towel. They're worth the investment for sure. And you'll have like the fancy ones with the dials and everything. Mine are just like they make the mat like 10 degrees warmer than like whatever it is. I mean, that's all it is.
Oh,
just plug and play.
Yep. It's like
I have like a collection of them. It's a collection now, right? Because the older ones don't work. And I'm like, oh, right. So I got the blue one that I can't control the heat on. So that goes in a different part of the greenhouse because any gardening space, everybody who gardens in it dials in their nuances of how their greenhouse or their garden space works. So like I know where to put each mat, and then I have 2 that have dials that I keep at 78. If it gets really cold, I will bump them up to 80. But for fake cuttings, I'll leave them on a little longer just to get established root systems.
We got a really active chat today.
We do. It's because Enoch has a really big community. Like, he gets like whenever he's live, he's got a lot of people in there going. I mean, it's pretty wild. He's had some people come over from I've almost stole one of his producers. I think is it Adam? Is it Adam the one? Yeah.
Oh, Adam. I see Adam in there. I see Jay in there. Yeah. Lori's in there. David's in there. Yeah. Excellent, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like whenever people come on, like Cog Hill comes on and like he brings some of his people, and maybe like even if like 2 or 3 people hang around afterwards, like check out the next episode. It's a way of us like sharing the community. Maybe I'm not everybody's bag, but they try it out and they give it a try. It's not so bad.
Don't try our flavor.
Yeah.
That's again too. That's literally the really the big part of doing this sort of thing is working and expanding and with each other within the gardening community, that sort of thing. One of the things I say on my show all the time is I'm constantly prompting people like, hey, go visit these guests, go check out their videos, go subscribe, do that sort of thing, go check out their live streams and all of that sort of stuff, because just share the love around the gardening community, and we get a lot of that, and it's really great. And it's really been more so, I'd say, this year too. It's really just kind of grown a lot as far as that goes, and I'm just couldn't be more prouder of the show when it comes to that aspect of it.
Is that a cat or a peacock in the background?
We're just
Is it your cat? Okay. Yeah. I thought it sounded like a peacock. They make that noise. Yeah, that sounds like kind of like.
My gosh. There it is.
There's my boy. He doesn't get on the camera very often.
Oh man. Hey, animal videos do really well.
This is George.
George is a good name for a cat.
Yeah. That's George.
Oh my
George is like, what are we doing?
He's my talker, so that's why you hear him. He just loves to talk. Don't you?
I was hearing like it goes off in the distance, like someone had like a peacock or something outside.
Oh my gosh, peacocks! When I'm in Florida, those things. I'll tell you what.
Dude, we have them here, man. We have them here. It's nuts. They're so loud. They're so loud, man. No, that's funny. The cats are. We like cats here. I'm a cat.
Yeah.
I like animals in general.
Yeah. I'm a cat guy for sure.
Oh my goodness.
I grew up with a Maine Coon cat that would just
a lot of cats
leave in a snowstorm. Be like, bye. And we're like, where are you going? He's like, I don't answer to you. He would only respond to my dad. Who is the Alva?
Yeah.
And he was
probably just a little bit more.
He was a normal sized cat.
This is a big cat right here.
Yeah, his name was Peanut. He was a normal sized cat. So we're like, why is he called Peanut? And then we found out how big Maine Coons get. We're like, oh.
Yeah, Maine Coons are a lot of cats.
Yeah. So
we had greenhouse cats for a while, and one of them got kidnapped. Actually, I think 2 of them got kidnapped. Catnapped? Whatever. Someone yoinked the cats.
Catnipped.
And they were both orange cats. And I like I all the stereotypes that like you've ever heard about orange cats, like that, like they have one brain cell that they share between all of them.
Yes.
And it was never either of our cats stay with the brain cell. Like
Yeah.
they were just, but they were good cats. They kept the mice away. I mean, they did a good job.
Yeah. That's a big thing, keeping the rodents away, and for like, and the other thing too is keeping the other cats away too. Because I live right in the city, I'm right on alleyways, you know. So cats. When I first moved here, we had cats all over the place, under my house, on the house, everywhere. And then my solution to that was to get my own cat, and that actually worked.
Oh,
yeah,
got it. That's like that Always Sunny. And he's like, "You get the cats. They just
cat in the wall, huh?
we got some more cats in the wall to get the cat out of the wall."
That's
You
right.
go back and rewatch that show.
Oh, it holds up, man. It holds up. There's some episodes that aren't on Hulu anymore.
Oh, I believe that.
Now, if you're ever at a nursery and you see a cat, feel free to take it with you, because nurseries get cats dumped off there all the time. Wow. It is like people just dump their cats off at nurseries. Wow. A place over here in Enchanted Forest in Richmond, they have people just dump their cats off all the time.
Wonder what it is about a nursery that makes people inclined to do that.
I guess it's far enough out in the country, and it looks like I mean, they're not complaining, because usually they're doing like we are saying, like pest, cats eat a lot of things. They, there's a reason why
just about everything.
And if you can ask Mark about this, in some of like the Australian hunting magazines, they'll have like dudes like in Australia, they like are holding cats like how we hold like deer and stuff, because cats got introduced into the wild, and they like will wipe out an entire population of ground nesting birds. And so they hunt cats like they do like wild hogs here in Texas. It's so wild.
I believe, like, and I'm not sure, didn't they pass a law in New Zealand like banning cats completely?
I think something like that.
I wouldn't doubt it,
because of their birds and all of that.
They're sort of an ecological like outdoor cats are sort of an ecological nightmare.
Oh yeah.
They can be very destructive, that's for sure, when it comes to that sort of thing.
Birds kill for sport.
They do. My cat would present it to us like on the footsteps.
Here's your murder.
And I read an article. It's like, they're like, because they think we're cats that can't hunt or something, and so they like, here, this is for you to stay alive. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for talking down.
I'll literally get mice right out my backside door. I've actually had it where like lined them up almost. Like, here's a couple for you.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I think it's like from what I heard, it's kind of like them kind of like paying the, kind of a payback for you taking care of them, kind of
tribute.
Tribute to what you, yeah. Here, I bought this for you. Thanks for all that food and whatever, right?
Let us feast.
They actually feast. I forget if it's New Zealand or maybe it was Papua New Guinea. They never got introduced, like, because dingoes are feral dogs, like in Australia and like Tasmania and stuff. And they're saying that dingoes contributed to like the extinction of like the thylacine, like the Tasmanian tiger, and that feral dogs were never introduced to Papua New Guinea. And that's why Papua New Guinea has the most likelihood of thylacines being discovered.
Yeah.
And so, and that's one of the contributions to that. I watch a lot of like what do they call it? It's not zoology, cryptozoological videos and TV shows.
That's
like
quite a mouthful.
Yeah, I don't use big words like that, Enoch. I try not to. It's the cats and the cows. And when the cows get loose in Australia, they call them scrub bulls, and you'll see like they when the cows get loose, like in the bush, they go wild, they go feral, and like they go hunt them like they hunt like wild hogs. It's crazy.
Sounds like a magical place, terrifying place.
That only rains in like the outskirts of the country.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Counted as both.
Most of it's just like murder desert.
Right.
God. Yeah, no, I've been fascinated with Mark, like you were saying, like since I started, even before I started making YouTube videos, I was like kind of obsessed with this channel because he was the first person I saw with the metal raised beds. You know, because he's like the biggest distributor of like birdies beds because they're out of Australia.
That's right, they're Australian.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't work for them, does he?
I don't think he works for them. I just think that, you know, he kind of pushed it, you know, and helped started pushing that, you know, through Australia, through his channel and all of that. And then Kevin Espiritu from Epic Gardening got a hold of him to bring them over here to the States. So I think that's kind of how that worked.
Yeah. He's fascinating.
Yeah.
He was talking about like his military stuff, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now." It's pretty wild. Like, make sure to go listen to Enoch's episode with Mark Valencia, and of course, to the man, Baker Creek.
Right, yeah.
You got the white whale, dude. How was that? Okay, can you walk me through like how you got? Because I've reached out, I've sent emails and it's like that.
Yeah.
How was it pretty easy to get him on? Like y'all?
Well, I think in my case is maybe because I got to know him more, you know, personally. I've been going to the National Heirloom Exposition for years, and he's
met him.
So I've met him several different times. Yeah. So yeah, it was when I was down there this last September. I was like, all right, I got to get you on the show because I met him before they really started doing social media. Really, you know, he's been involved with Baker Creek since, you know, the earliest days. He used to be a seed farmer for them and all of that. And so, you know, as I met him back then, but more so since I got to know him through the social media just a little bit more, I was like, oh man, I got to have you on the show. And he was up for it. It was just, you know, we had to work some things out and make sure that, you know, it work out because he kind of travels between a few different places and that sort of stuff and everything. But it really turned out to be a really great interview. I was really kind of glad about that.
Oh, I watched the whole thing, man. He's fascinating. He's we started out like I'll say we. I started out joking around about him, and then I did a little digging and I found out like, you know, that he'd done like in Africa, like he had done a lot of work in Africa, like showing them how to like, or learning and showing how to like grow different crops and stuff, and some fascinating stuff. It's really interesting. Like it seems like he's
market gardening and that sort of thing, and he brought a lot of that over to kind of teach and educate and do that sort of thing over in Africa, and that's where I think he met his wife and all of that sort of stuff too as well. So and that was a part of the story I actually didn't know about him before until we actually got into the interview and started talking about that. I was really kind of fascinated. I loved it.
It was pretty wild because that's not on the Baker Creek profile. It's on his. Like I went on a rabbit hole like doing research, and I found like I was like, oh wow, this is really neat. And so it was very interesting. So good, good for you. That was a great interview, man. You get a lot of good people. Another guy I was going to ask you, the Viking gardener.
Nate Murray.
I had never seen his stuff until I started following you, and then his stuff started popping up. That is a character too, man. He is awesome. He's really cool.
Yeah. Really fascinating. And I don't know how I found his channel or anything, but it was very early on. Like he's only been doing it for like the last year or two.
Oh,
wow. Well, I mean, we had him on last year, so I think it was a year before that. So maybe he might be like on his third year of doing his channel. But but yeah, I mean, he really hit it off, and he's really built a great community. You know, he's really knowledgeable, and he really does the work of communicating with his community very well and all of that. And he's very supportive. You know, he's one of those first people I was contacting and talking to, you know, last year as we were setting up and doing the show and everything. And it's kind of, you know, for one thing, it's like, you know, you're inviting people on and everything, and you'll get certain types of responses, but it's always best when you get those who are like, oh yeah, man, I can't wait. And then they're sharing it everywhere and they're doing all sorts of stuff, you know, and everything in order to really push their appearance and everything and being really supportive of it. And he was one of those first ones who was just really like that. And his community just sort of like you were talking about with everybody showing up today in the comments and all of that. That was probably one of those first shows I did where my comment section went so crazy I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he just brought so many people on along with him and everything, and it was really fun. And so that was one of those things too. And we kind of touched on this just a little bit as talking about sharing guests and doing that sort of thing between shows and all of that. One of the things I really do enjoy doing is, and that's part of bringing, like, I have the smaller channel at the front of the show and before the featured guest and that sort of stuff, is to kind of help introduce people together in some sort of way as well too, and
Right.
help connect them so that maybe that sort of thing, and so that maybe they can do things together and everything. And so that was what because of Nate's support of what he had done and for my show and to be a part of my show and everything, that's when I was like, okay, I invited Mark back onto the show to do a roundtable for our Sunday edition. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to bring Nate along for this conversation, kind of introduce those two together and that sort of thing. And that was really awesome. And yeah, just again, part of building the community again through what we do here, and getting to do that's really kind of fun to see people kind of connect with each other. And I know there's a few people who've actually Ryan, I think Heavenly Hills Homestead, who got introduced through were you guys on the same show together or something?
Yeah, so for those of y'all that don't already follow Enoch on his channel, he does it's on the Sunday show, right? That you do like the up and coming, like you like an up and coming Saturday show.
It's called the Are You Following Me?
Right. It's like it's like maybe a smaller channel that doesn't have like a huge following yet, but like they're working hard, grinding. Maybe they're a year or so in, they just haven't hit their stride yet, but they're showing like a lot of cool stuff. And Ryan is such a cool dude. Like, he is like the definition of West Virginia. Like, he's country, he's out in the fields growing giant pumpkins. Like, that is like the most West Virginia thing I have ever seen. And like like that was such an underrated, like, you ever do like an episode with somebody and you're like, I can't believe this episode didn't do really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my number one, because I had so much fun with him talking about giant pumpkins and like the disasters that happen with giant pumpkins, how bad it can go. Like, he's always talking about touching a pumpkin and leaning and it just falling into it, like it's rotten. And like, just him in general, he's a character. He cracks me up the entire time.
He's a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, he is so much fun, man. And he's a family man, and he's a really good dude. Make sure to follow him. Heavenly Hills Homestead.
Yeah, Heavenly Hills Homestead for sure. Ryan's great.
And you've had Dez on, you've had Phil on, you've had Vikram on, you've had we were talking about Josh earlier. I mean, you've had a lot of, like, Mocha Gardner. You've had Ashley. I met her through you. She's kind of getting started. She kind of she's kind of in transition mode with her, because they just bought that homestead.
Amazing. She's probably, I mean, I hate to say, I don't want to say like anybody, everybody's my favorite when it comes down to it, but I love talking about, just growing and food growing and that sort of stuff with Ashley Thompson. She's brilliant and all of that. In fact, it was just was it the month before last? I can't remember, because every third Sunday on our Sunday edition, we do a monthly gardening book club.
Yes.
Where we cover a book for a month, and then on that third Sunday of the month, we'll have that author on. So I knew I had to have Ashley and her book, How to Become a Gardener, on and everything. And we get to do that with my good friend Mark Boucher Colbert. He lives up in Portland. He's a garden educator. He teaches at a Montessori school, teaches gardening. He takes care of this cool rooftop garden in Portland, downtown Portland, on this building. It's like a 4-store building, produces all this food for this restaurant that's right down below and all of that. So, he's my co-host for the book club. And we had just such a great conversation with him, but it was just, and he was one of those people who, he's just so uplifted by it. I mean, it really, like, there were some parts of that conversation towards the end of the conversation where he was kind of getting a little emotional with it and stuff too, because, that's just how you bring that passion out in people and that sort of thing. And Ashley's one of those people who has that and has that ability to do that. And if you haven't seen that conversation, go see that one. That's a great one. If I can recommend any of them I've done.
Garden Marcus had us all bawling. Like, Garden Vikram, we got to introduce you to Garden Marcus, dude. He is like the sweetest man I've ever met in my. We all had like emotional breakdowns, like in that, like I was crying at the end of, like the first time we talked. Like it was like, oh my god, this is like the. So I mean, having him on is this like my version of that. It was like it was wow, but I like all the people. I don't think we've ever had anybody on that I didn't like.
Right.
The only time I don't like people is when their internet's worse than mine. It wasn't like Trey with Lake Creek Farm. He's got what's it, Tesla, Elon Musk's internet, and he's out in East Texas. Yeah, and his internet like was just so bad, it flickered a lot, and so like I couldn't even put it on Spotify because the sound quality and everything was bad. But whenever we could talk, it was great, but it was just cutting out. Like that's the only thing, and like I feel his pain because my internet is not always the best too. So I mean, there's definitely people penciled in to come back later when they're at a different location with better internet. So that's
Sometimes some things happen, you know. I just kind of reflecting back to talking about giant pumpkins. I did a weekend on giants a month or two back, and my intention was to have Travis Ganger, who grew the what he called Michael Jordan, which is the world's largest, heaviest pumpkin. What was it? Year before last? Was it like
Michael Jordan?
Yeah, it's like 2,740 some pounds, I think, and it's the world record for that. And so the intention was to have him on and everything, but he was traveling, and it was supposed to be really cool because he was supposed to be driving from Minnesota, where he's at, out to Half Moon Bay, California, for the next competition with this year's pumpkin. So he was going to be on the show, you know, traveling and shows the pumpkin on the truck, you know, that sort of thing, you know, as he was doing it. And again, too, just connection issues and all that sort of stuff, and it just wasn't able to happen. So again, a little miss, but I got him on the list. We'll make sure we get him on for this next year. But things happen when it comes to doing live shows, for sure. You know, there's a lot that can kind of go wrong, and if anything can go wrong, it has gone wrong on my show too as well.
Well, I had a question. How has your show evolved since you started? Like, I know we touched on a little bit by adding Sundays from Saturdays, but like just like the formatting, or maybe even seeing the popularity in gardening grow, or maybe seeing how gardening has shifted, or maybe just trends in general, or like what are some notable points that you've seen kind of shift, and maybe even shift your show over the past like decade or so?
For well, you know, a lot. The biggest thing is climate. You know, that's one of the things we talk about the most is, you know, you know, things just changing, and just trying to even get through my own gardening from year to year, you know, and dealing with those types of challenges based on that. I'd say that's probably the biggest subject that's really kind of moved and changed from year to year throughout the show and all that. We talk a lot about that. I try to get in a lot of that conversation with people on the show, because that's another cool thing about doing this is that, you know, getting to talk to people from all over different places, you know, throughout the world, even, let alone just the States and all of that. So we're all dealing with different things when it comes to those different changing aspects of our climate as it affects our gardens and stuff. So I'm always interested in hearing how that, you know, affects their gardening and that sort of thing, as far as talking to other people. The show itself, though, the evolution of the show, you know, things have kind of changed a little bit, you know, just kind of based on kind of how it happened. Because when I originally set up the show, I had a couple of people who were helping me do it and set up. I had actually a producer who was here with me who would do and handle some of the stuff and all of that. So the way we originally thought the show to be, you can watch the first 10 that I did, and you'll see exactly what we intended it to be. And it was supposed to be, you know, the Are You Following Me segment we did was supposed to be just like an Instagram thing. And then we had a channel of the week, which was a smaller channel for you know, YouTube channel and that sort of thing. And then we'd have our featured guest, and we had Mark was doing like the in the garden thing. We had a whole bunch of stuff just packaged all together and everything. And then after the 10th show, a couple of the people who helped me produce it had to move on to do other things, and I was left to do it all myself. So I had to pare a lot of stuff back and do all of that sort of stuff. And that's kind of what I had to learn through that second half of last year into going into this year, and then making those changes, because I'm one of those people that, like, when I face a challenge, I kind of double down Is like, well,
cool.
instead of like letting something push me back and do less of something because there's something that's, pushing against it or whatever, I go, no way. I'm gonna, not only am I going to accomplish this and get the way I want it to be, but I'm gonna also double down. And that's where the whole idea of like, okay, well, it was hard enough to do one show a week last year. And I was like, you know what? Let's do 2 shows a week. You know what? I had all these troubles this year. We were worked through all of them. So let's see what we can get ourselves into by doing 2 shows a week,
Heck yeah.
So, that's been, and it's been fun. So, and then too, doing a show like this where you get to have all these different aspects and segments and different things is where you can just kind of have fun and throw things around and do different stuff. So as we touched on, doing the Book of the Month Club and, I bring on, one of my favorite YouTube gardeners, Scott Wilson from the Gardener Scott channel. He comes on once a month to do, like a gardening Q&A, to get your garden questions answered type of thing. And then the round tables that we're doing and stuff on Sunday. So we kind of make it more of a variety on Sunday and then keep that original format on Saturday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's super
great.
cool.
I love how dialed in you are, because like maybe we just come on. This is a party for us, like straight up party.
Yeah,
so it's really like,
and I love that, and I love those sort of things. And I guess that was kind of one of my things was, there is this really kind of like yearning creative side to me in a sense too. So I was like, I want something that stands out and is different that nobody's really seen when it comes to the gardening community or these types of podcasts and things like that. So, and that was kind of the whole idea there, was just to kind of create a real show. Like it's a show, and it's got these different elements to it as it goes through, while still getting to have these cool, fun gardening conversations.
Yeah, and Vikram, Vikram's like out in like Lubbock, and there's not a whole lot of gardening content creators around you. So like people like you, people like I think even Des is in Austin. I'm sure there are people. I don't know. I don't know how many people she hangs out with over there, but certain people, you make friends or you're in an area where you're not able to do it in person. So it's nice to be able to like BS once a month or so and hang out with your friends and have a like-minded community. It's hard to do it in person, but on the internet, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that too, though, is that that's another part of it is we all know when you're kind of really passionate or nerdy about something, not everybody wants to sit and listen to you talk about that. I can't go over to my friends.
Sometimes they don't have a choice.
Go hang out with my daughter and all these other people and then start talking about the things that are really on my mind that I want to. So this show and your show and these different things that are going on are kind of my outlet for that sort of thing, so I can just go on and talk about this stuff and get it out of my system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best thing every week just to come on and be like, because like there's times where my wife's like, I want to hear about your day, what you're doing out there, and like 5 minutes in, I'm like the glazing of the eyes, and I'm like, I know. And you're like, hold on, wait, no, but it's interesting because when the sap flow goes back and the fig trees go dormant, anyway.
Right.
But yeah, you bring up a great point that like I've met so many other people that like I could keep going. Like I can't wait to meet all you guys in person, because when Destin and I and like Des all hung out, we just started from where we left off from the last like podcast. It was just like we just kept going.
Yeah. I know. I gotta get to the point where I can start traveling more and getting out too, because that is another thing about it is you get to meet all these people. It's like, I want to go to your garden and I want to see your garden. In fact, I just had Scott Wilson, I mentioned from Gardener Scott, on this last week, and he was talking about these different things he was building and setting up in his garden space that he had been planning for a while. And I was like, man, I got to get out there and go see this, and that's the thing. You can meet all these cool people, and it's like I want to meet these people in person too. So I mean, there is that kind of part of it all.
And like every gardener I met, this is like the same thing every time. It's let me show you my garden. Like every gardener, let me show you my garden, and we proceed to go through every plant for the next hour. We're all just like arms on our back, like, what you got? Oh, look at that one.
You guys,
we all get to pick up on everyone's cool little things that are happening, and it's the best sharing piece that a gardener gives to another gardener.
When you're trying to make videos and you're trying to do things and you're out visiting people to make a video specifically, their garden and them and that sort of stuff, and do the interview, Oh man, that could take. I'll like one time I made the mistake. I was like, okay, well, I'll go do this one over here. I'll try to get 2 done in a day. I was down in Los Angeles. I'll go over here and I'll get this one done, and then I'll go over and I'll spend the later afternoon and go do this one. And then I had to end up canceling the later one because of the first one. Is that sort of
SpongeBob thing? It's like,
oh, we're all like looking around, checking things out, and it just becomes this big
Yeah.
long conversation. So I learned right then was like never schedule 2 interviews in one day. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah, it was so much fun when I was in Alabama. I had a free day where I didn't have anything to do, and I just drove around. And the night before I went and Google mapped a bunch of nurseries. I went to 7 different nurseries in one day and just videoed, toured the whole thing. And those have been some of like the most popular videos on my channel, like finding new and interesting nurseries in areas people don't know about. Like there's probably places up in Lubbock that people don't know about. Like it's crazy. I definitely want to go do a tour of Vikram's like greenhouse because they have some cool stuff up there.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I'd love to go.
Yeah. We'd love to have y'all. And
yeah.
Yeah,
and kind of on that aspect of it all though too is like Phil was saying is you want to watch and check everything out. We like to go through each other's gardens. I think that's what makes garden tour videos so popular is because what we want to do is we want to go through and check out what you've got growing in your garden, maybe compared a little to what we are able to do and that sort of thing, or just see how cool and what things you can grow that we can't, that sort of stuff. But yeah.
And I like straight up, maybe this is geologist to me, but like when we were at Froberg, I just started like grabbing his dirt and being like, "What kind of dirt does he have for these strawberries?"
right. Yeah, like looking into it. Like, oh,
you're like, "Oh."
No, my dad is the real Texas garden guy because he doesn't water his stuff nearly as much as I do, and his stuff looks better than mine. Like, I got some cuttings from a friend of what they call like a cucumber cactus. It's usually they go like in hanging baskets and they look like little cucumbers, but they come out like hanging baskets and stuff. And I got like 4 cuttings and I put 2 in one hanging basket for me and 2 in one hanging basket for him. And I watered mine, baby mine. It was growing really well. And I go to his house. Mine is like not even hanging out of the basket. He got his the same. And his cucumbers are hanging 4 feet out of the basket. Like,
wow.
And I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I water like once a month." And I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "I gotta stop watering my stuff so much."
That's right. We can care just a little bit more than we need to sometimes.
Lavender. He can keep lavender alive from year to year. And, we found out with Tracy, she's like an herb specialist, not that kind of herb hippies. But she was saying like lavender is like bougainvillea. It wants to completely dry out. It wants to almost be like a little too dry. That explains why I kill it every year. I love it too much.
Yeah.
Well, and Houston doesn't do dry very well.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
We do dry
like
pretty
good
here. That's our
with
thing.
4 p.m. thunderstorms.
Oh yeah.
Here. Oh, some more rain. Here you go.
Oh,
wait. Oh, my thing's exploded.
I was really nervous last night, and I guess tonight too. I'm a little nervous because the weather forecast said it was going to be 37, 35 degrees, but we're going to have like 35, 40 mile an hour winds. And I was like, well, combine that with like wind chill and some of my stuff. So I moved a lot of the sensitive stuff, like all my desert roses, stuff, my vanilla bean orchid indoors. But I was worried, like, man, did I screw up? Because like the wind chill was like 28, 27. I was like, are my citrus going to take a beating? And I was shockingly surprised. Like not even my herbs or anything like that got knocked back. I was so surprised. Hearing y'all get like in the 20s is a bummer for me. I'm hoping hopefully this doesn't freeze this year. When I was growing up, there were years where it didn't freeze here in the Houston area. It happened all the time. It was a weird thing when it started freezing, and now it's the new norm.
That's great. Yeah, we got that same wind advisory though too here in Southern Oregon too. So
yeah. No,
batting things down.
Yeah, having a greenhouse.
About my yo-yo temperatures now because Vikram, where you are, you get big swings.
Huge,
oh my God.
Huge temperature swings for sure. I'm looking at the forecast. It's actually supposed to be like in the 50s, lows in the 30s the next couple of weeks. So it'll be nice. But I remember a couple of years ago, the high was 75, and then a cold front blew in, and it was 22 that night, and we got 3 inches
Wow.
of snow.
Oh wow.
And
Oh my
it was
gosh.
just so funny watching like every leaf fall off of every tree. They were just like, no, we're done. And
Garfield style.
Jumping off
yeah,
the tree.
that's what it felt like. So we get these huge fluctuations in weather, and you know, I think you really find out which plants are tough trying to grow them in Lubbock,
Yeah.
America,
Right.
with
Is
no
Lubbock
rain. And
America.
Is this true, Vikram? Like, I thought wind chill did play a factor.
so you can get some leaf burn and stuff, but it's usually just like actual air temperature that
Okay,
because like wind chill won't make water freeze, right? So that's really what we're
Right.
concerned about is water in the
Mhm.
cells freezing.
Right.
So as
Yeah.
long as your air temperature doesn't get below 32, it doesn't matter. Like the wind chill only matters to us because we have skin, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and
That's kind of what I was thinking.
the plants don't really care about that.
see, I thought it played a factor since like everything I have is pretty much in containers. So I thought it played a factor. I thought it played a factor as in like chilling the root system in the containers. I thought it did play a factor.
Now that can be true. You can get your like, so you know you're trying to keep your soil temperatures up well above freezing most of the time, right? Like we're trying to keep them warm. Now, like you
Mhm.
kind of get this, not really convective cooling is not the right word, but essentially like you can cool faster to a temperature when that air is moving, like it's
Right.
carrying away heat, but it's not
Yeah.
going to be like it's not going to make your soil or your plants colder than the air temperature. Now you may hit that air temperature faster. Like you may get like your soil cooling from 60 to 45 quicker, but just because it feels to us like it's 25 degrees outside, your soil's not going to experience the same thing.
Right.
That's really interesting, huh?
That's really
For some reason I always thought that like that wind chill actually played a factor, but I guess less than I thought. I guess
well. Say
I
you
mean,
did have
isn't it
freezing
kind of like the
temperatures,
wind's
and-
just kind of blowing through? So say it's a 20 to 22 degree wind chill. It's just the wind blowing through. And once it's blown through, you're left with whatever the temperature, the air temperature is. And so, maybe it kind of helps cool along the way, but it's a drafting temperature versus not what's there in place. So it's
Well,
or I guess the word I'm looking at is
exactly.
temporary in a sense, right?
Sure.
yeah, or a quicker drop, like more susceptible to dropping faster, the temperature dropping quicker. That
Which
makes
can be
sense.
you're susceptible to freezes faster then, because like it
Mhm.
takes less time for something to freeze with aggressive winds, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause
Your
if you have
temperature will
28
change faster, but you still have a bottom end, right? That is your air temp.
Right? Huh?
So
Hey, I'm learning something all the time. I won't worry.
Oh,
I won't
18.
worry about as much wind chill anymore. That's good. I always
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that it was. Is there? I'm sure there's some people in Texas in here.
lots of Texans around.
Yeah.
Yes. How is your greenhouse holding up, Phil? Is it doing pretty well? Do you have a lot of stuff in the garage yet?
Citrus went into the garage because here's the thing: I always have more plants, and so now I have more plumerias. I have Josh gave me a tamarillo, and I really want it to get big.
Cool.
My tree tomato, and that is a very sensitive plant. And then I have two hardy banana varieties. I have dwarf Orinoco and dwarf Cavendish that Profig sent me. And I didn't want to lose them. Like I have the Musa Baju hardy bananas. They will die down every year to their corm or what have you, and I'll chop them back. They got smoked when it was 23. They look sad, and I thought I was going to get bananas, but they make those little tiny seedy things that you're like, but I want to try it. I still want to do it, but we got close this year. And then, anything that's outside got smoked pretty good. The fig trees are fine that are going dormant. They actually all went dormant. I talked about it in my video. I actually talked about freezing and like lignification and if in green growth, not having the right chemical compounds and the expansion of the water when it freezes, rupturing cell walls. So I talked about that because I will have some like fall growth that's green that it's going to die back to that point. And So the fig trees are good, but the greenhouse is good. I'm getting like a 18-degree differential right now. So at night, and in the daytime, it's upwards of 35 plus. And then I'm going to double down for like, we'll get 1 day or 2 nights a year that drop below 20. And that's the danger zone for like some of my citrus, some of the less hardy palms. And when I don't have that 18-degree buffer to really protect like my fig cuttings and stuff, I got an idea for magnetiles that I'm going to make this framework that doubles onto my greenhouse with fabric. And I'm going to like each connector piece will like hinge onto like one side of the roof, the other side of the roof, one side of the wall, one side of the wall. And I can just shed it like with like little metal hooks. So I can just take it off when it's warmer.
What is a magnetile?
Wow. Okay. If you have kids, they're like little toy magnet pieces that go together.
Oh, okay.
Like Legos and stuff. Look it up. They're pretty cool.
I see this. Yeah. It's like
They're fun.
Just make a greenhouse.
like stained glass almost looking thing.
Yeah, but they're plastic and they're magnets. So the magnets hinge them on the sides.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm just going to use hooks and like kind of make this extra layer around to increase the R value of the greenhouse and see if I can get. Because last year I was that nut at 1 a.m. trying to get a huge greenhouse tarp over my greenhouse, and it worked. And I got like 30 something degrees differential. My humidity skyrocketed. It was awesome. I was exhausted, and then getting that off was just a scene. But
oh my!
But I want something a little more like quick, like it's gonna be 18. Latch, done.
And you're done.
Yeah,
done.
The best thing I've seen, and it's super dangerous, and I will tell anybody this right now. If you have plants in your garage or plants in your greenhouse, do not run your vehicle to heat your plants.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Gosh. We're not even gonna talk about this.
Don't put a propane heater in your house or in your garage, because a lot of carbon monoxide can probably get into your house. But my buddy Jorge will take a big he has a couple of a big crawfish pot, and he gets the big old propane tanks, and he will boil water in his greenhouse, and the steam helps heat it. But he can only go in for a couple minutes at a time, like 30 seconds at a time. He's got to run out. Like I need to find like a mask for him or something to wear. But like you'll pass out. Like
buy him a heater.
I think honestly, because the fear with us here in the Houston area is our grid is not built for it to get that cold. And so whenever it gets that cold, typically we lose power. And so he either needs to get like a salamander or like a propane, like natural gas heater. But like usually whenever we get that cold, we lose power. That's the bigger issue for us. But yeah, I don't recommend that. But if you have to, just make sure you ventilate your greenhouse.
Oh my, yeah.
Very well.
I have the Palma BioGreen heater, and that thing works like a champ. It's like years of plural old, and it's running right now. It's out there doing what it wants to do, warm stuff up.
Have you thought about getting a greenhouse or anything up there, Enoch? Or are you space confined like I am?
It's about space. I would love to have a greenhouse for sure. Yeah. In fact, I've been thinking about trying to find someone who might have a big one or something nearby or something like that. Maybe let me take up a bit of space inside of it or something, so I can do a few things that I haven't been able to because I don't have one.
This could actually be something that like someone like Vikram could make some extra money on the side with. Like, I had talked
about green space.
Yes, I had talked about this before. Like when you buy you rent out like a rental, like a rental storage unit, people can rent out like a greenhouse unit, like a heated place to take your plants all winter. Like, it's actually kind of a cool idea. It's very seasonal.
But
if you had extra storage space, throw some great grow lights in there, and then rent them out during the winter time.
Like
cool.
an Airbnb for greenhouses. And plants, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I've got friends that like spend a ton of money on landscaping, like palm trees and stuff for their pools, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I got to buy new palm trees every single year." And I was like,
"What?"
I was like, "What if you built like a greenhouse around your palm? You know, like built like get those Miracle Grow like 4x4x8 and just assemble it around your palm trees." And he goes, I never thought about that, and I was like, it's worth a
Yeah.
try.
Probably costs as much as one palm tree.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
I don't know, I'm not a
Yeah.
palm guy. I'm not. There are people out there that are palm people.
I'm a palm guy.
Yeah. I like the way palm trees look and all of that. I don't know if I'd ever grow them or anything, but
The palmetto, the sable miners are native to here. We're like the most northern part where palms can grow, like American palm varieties. So around here, but you'll have like your sable major, like your cabbage palm. These sable miners are the bushy ones. The Pindo palm will survive. The windmill palm will survive, and the Mediterranean fan palm, or the European fan palm, will survive. And those are like all your hardiest varieties, right? And then every once in a while, I'll be like, Canary Island date palm, ooh, Sylvester date palm, and like every once in a while. But they're really like there's the next tier of palm trees. Once you hit South Carolina, that's where that little zone 9 starts to creep in. We're 8B, so. But I like it just to say I'm in palm tree country.
I got a question here. V was saying, I place straw over my onions, but will it be enough? She's in Northwest Houston. Onions are pretty cold tolerant usually, down to like, I don't know. What would you say, Vikram? Like, I don't usually put anything over my onions. Like, what do you think? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, straw's not going to hurt anything for sure. They're fairly cold tolerant. I would think, especially in Houston, like you'd have to get now some years, right?
20s maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think y'all will be pretty safe. I mean, typically we'll grow onions starting in the early spring, late winter here, and then they harvest in the fall. A lot of times, they take kind of a long time. But they do tend to be fairly cold hardy. They'll do okay. But yeah, straw should be good. I mean, it's a great insulator. It works really well. And for the most part, when you're trying to protect, especially a root crop, like you're just trying to take the edge off of the worst cold, right? You're just trying to raise it a few degrees. And so like any of your like outdoor interventions, that's really your only goal. Frost blankets, straw, hay, mulch, like you're not going to raise the temperature 30 degrees, but you might raise it or keep it 5 degrees warmer, 6 degrees. And usually that's going to be enough for the most part.
And usually the top might die back, but it'll come back from the bulb.
A lot of times, yeah. And so, they'll regrow. And so, like, I think, I probably would not worry too much about it. But I don't grow a ton of onions. There are people here that do. It's funny because when they do it commercially, they just go and they turn them all up onto the surface and let them dry.
Yeah.
And they used to be a big field right out by our airport. So you would fly in sometimes, and there'd be like this big field that looked like it had just hailed, or like someone had lost all their baseballs out in this field. And I don't think they grow. I think it's cotton now. But it was always pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I would probably be careful with the straw more than anything, because if you put straw on your bed, every time I talk, it starts doing that. I blame Enoch for StreamYards because he's the one that got me into it.
I know, huh?
I think it's because I stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I'm gonna have to probably pick one at one point. I think that's what's tearing it down. But straw or hay can sometimes have seed in it. And when you mulch with that, you can get straw and hay coming up out of your beds too, like with some things. Yeah.
I had somebody tell me to watch out for make sure your straw is like grazon free. Is that a thing?
That's something I've heard of too.
What happens is
herbicide.
It's like an herbicide that attacks anything that is what's the term? Vikram's gonna know it.
I need to look at what kind that is. So any kind of like monocot.
Yes, dicots. So it'll attack all the dicots from growing. And so if you cover anything you try to grow with it, nothing will grow, basically. Or be very well stunted. So you have to make sure you get like garden straw specific.
I've heard a lot about that, about straw.
Yeah, because they'll spray it over the top of any grass crop.
Really?
We get tons and tons of leaves around here. Harvesting bags of my neighbor's leaves right now for my mulch for next season too.
Pine needles will be great. Pine needle. People always ask me about, are pine needles gonna like acidify my soil? Not really. I mean, maybe, I don't know, not enough. You'd have to have a lot of pine. The whole thing has to be pine needles for it to make a big difference. But like, I say,
it's a big thing here for pine straw in North Carolina to mulch with pine straw instead of. But copperheads like to make nests in it.
Whenever I was in Alabama at that big meetup, there was a guy there, and literally that's what his job was. He grew pine trees to harvest pine straw. Like he sold bales and bales of pine straw. Like he has a little baler. It's a little tiny baler. It's like a little 3x3 or a 2x2 roll.
It's adorable.
And it's so cute. He showed me the videos. It's really
Did he have the contraption where you get, like, it has this little chute that like launches it into your car?
No, it's just like a regular one. It just rolls out. But like he was saying like the only real concern is like, I think they might have some beetle kill and then wildfires. Wildfires is a big thing with the pine trees because they're more likely to burn up. But really interesting. But use what you have.
Oh, they'll go right up. Yeah.
What's up,
I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to jump off. It is bedtime for the little guy, and I'm traveling tomorrow, so I want to go make sure I do that. Dude. But hey, it was a lot of fun. Enoch, it was great to see you as always.
Absolutely, Vikram. We'll have to have you back on the show sometime.
For
and
sure. Love
to see you too. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem. No problem, Vic. See you later, buddy. Thank you for coming on.
Y'all have a good night.
Bye, buddy.
Later.
Yeah, if y'all got a little bit longer, we'll go for. I mean, I know Phil.
I got time, or at least until Phil's got to go, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually Phil is my indicator. Usually, whenever it's time for Phil to go to bed, it's time for me to go to bed. Yeah, I'm
in the future right now, in a different time zone.
And you're back to the future. You're backwards.
Right.
Yeah, we had talked about it at one point. I think a lot of these podcasts go like how long is your podcast? It's like 2 hours.
About 2 hours. Sometimes about 2:15.
Yeah,
it all just kind of depends on the conversation. You know what I mean? If it's going, we'll keep it going just a little bit longer, but we try to keep it right around the 2 hour mark. Maybe some a little lower, some a little later.
I think it might evolve probably into more of a 2 hour, and if people got to hop off, they got to hop off. Like, but maybe start like a little earlier, and if Phil has to hop in later, or if he's got to hop in earlier, or if he can't make it, and they kind of make it a little more, easy going, like in the a little bit longer podcast. I think because here lately I was doing one live stream on Monday, one live stream on Wednesday, one live stream on Friday. And it's kind of wearing me out between that and trying to edit videos and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking like maybe like I cut it down to like 2 live streams and then maybe just make one a little bit longer. You know what I mean? And kind of because you every weekend you have the whole weekend is dedicated to your podcast, like every morning, like Saturday and Sunday morning. So it adds up.
It does. And I've got to get back on track with doing like videos for my channel as well too. I've got so much to do as far as that goes.
How backlogged are you right now? I'm so backlogged on videos.
And I think I explained this on the show a few different times, was that, just to let people know why I don't have videos right now is I'm so terrible. I'm not technologically savvy. People look at my show and they go, "Oh wow, this is great," but I'm not that great at it. My editing software I had was from years ago when I first started. I found this really cool software. Is Filmora, if anybody's familiar. But so I got Filmora, and I got one of their lifetime things. But it was, what was it? The version 8 of it was when I first signed up and everything, and I got used to using it. I created, some just structure to what I was doing and all of that. So it made it nice and easy, and then over the years, they've changed it to newer versions of it, but I didn't upgrade. I was like, I don't want to upgrade to have to learn some of this new stuff or whatever. Cause at one point in time, they really changed it up pretty big when they made one of their upgrades. I was like, oh no, having to learn something new. I'm just not doing it. I'd rather do what I'm used to doing. So here it is all these years later. This last year, something happened with their version 8 anymore, and I couldn't get it to work, couldn't do anything. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? I got to get this video out and everything. And so I call up the support and everything. I'm like, hey, you guys got to help me. I know it's an older version, but you guys got to have some sort of fix for this, right? And they're like, no, we don't even have techs who can help you with that anymore. That is so like, I think they're on version 15 right now. You know what I mean? So
well, I looked at a screenshot and it looks almost identical to CapCut Pro. It looks almost identical. And
right.
I thought you were going to say like you bought a lifetime license, and it's like when you buy you win like a lifetime supply of razors, and the company goes out of business or whatever. Like it's
no,
like
yeah. Well, I think that's what ultimately why I've stuck with it and decided to continue to do that, is because I have that license, versus because I always told myself if I had to go and change to a different editor, I would go get one of the like DaVinci or something. I would go and try some of these other ones or something, and get down and really learn it. But then when it came down to where I actually had to make that decision because I couldn't use that editor anymore, I was like, I'm just gonna have to learn the one that I got because I got the license and everything. And that's what I've been doing. So pretty much this last year is just kind of trying to take whatever time I can here and there to try to learn just a little bit more and figure it out so that I can start.
It's really important to take that time, that R&D time. Like for anything,
yeah.
Even in gardening, when I always find as a content creator now, the past few months have been really tough. Nobody wants to garden this time of year. Like now we're switching gears and getting ready and getting started. There's the diehards that we're all like holding out, but I'm like, all right, this is a time that I'm going to just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and then try out some fun new things, or like go back and do some, I call it a lot of back end work and trying out new things and organizational things. So definitely making space for that's super helpful.
It is. It's good to do. I took 2 months off last year, a couple of months, actually, maybe just a little bit more than that, from when we finished the year on the show to starting back up again. So I could do a lot of that. But my intention this year was to not have such a big break. And then once I made that decision and started setting things up for that, I've been now actually like the last week or two, like, man, I probably should have made my break just a little bit longer so I could do some of these things and maybe fix up some things and have the opportunity to work on some of that stuff. But we'll crunch it in however we can.
I would recommend, I use CapCut Pro, and the reason I like CapCut Pro is because I can use it as an app on my phone and have the same login and use it as a desktop version. So if I do a quick video and I just want to eliminate background noise or do vocal isolation, and I just want to shoot a real quick one on my phone, like a promo for the podcast, I'll go do that quick, vocal isolation, and good. And it saves me from having to use my DJI wireless microphone that will cut out mid video. So I do an entire video and I lose sound for like my entire video. It's just easier with AI just to eliminate the background noise.
Oh man, that brings back some heartache of oh man, so many different times.
But Jason from Cog Hill told me to try out Final Cut Pro, and it is like speaking German your whole life and then trying to go learn Swahili. Like it is so much more difficult.
That's how most technology is for me, when it comes down to it, really.
I feel like a real boomer trying to do Final Cut. I did a trial version. I was like, oh, this is not for me.
I had Tony O'Neill on the show last week, and he stayed on afterwards to and we were talking about some stuff, and he got on and started showing me some of these things that he was doing and using in order to some of the, I don't know, whatever stuff he was doing, the programs and that sort of stuff. And he's showing me and going on about it, like, oh, you just do this, and then it's just a little of this, and it's just a little bit of that. And I'm like, dude, you might have to sit down. We might have to get it together someday so you could just kind of really take your time with me and show this stuff, because I'll never get my head wrapped around it. But again, too, when it comes to wanting to be seen though, and doing that sort of stuff, and I've been trying to take some advice from some of the bigger channels and what they do in their production of what they're doing in order to try to improve what I'm doing or going into for this next year to hopefully see maybe a little bit more growth and all of that. And And again, too, these guys are really, that's why their channels are so huge, and why, why they're doing it is that they're very good at that stuff, and knowing what and how to cue in on things like titles, or really, really getting the thumbnails down the way they need to be, for all of, all of the SEO and things that go into all that sort of stuff, that I'm just like, oh, okay, I get why it's important, but I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Who is the girl that we had on, Phil, and she was from California with a fig tree in her yard? JC, is it JC?
Okay. Oh my gosh, I was just on her show like 2 months ago.
I know.
Dig, plant, water, repeat.
Dig, plant.
Oh, yeah.
So she has a huge following, and I don't think she.
Great.
I don't think she edits her videos. I think she just.
She.
I think she does. Does she?
Or does she outsource her editing? She has a teammate.
Oh, okay. I thought I couldn't remember if it was her or somebody else. They don't edit anything out. They just literally go. They film, and they just put them all together and put it out.
Cut, boom, slap.
Yeah. I thought maybe that was her.
I've thought about going that direction, but then again,
one of my most popular videos did that essentially, and I just talked about putting a fig tree in a pot, and people liked it. It was just the time of the year.
Again, yeah. And then for me, like I said, the more creative side of me. I mean, I really, when I got into making videos and stuff, I was into all sorts of type of YouTube video creators, and so getting and making videos kind of not really flashy or anything, but the cool time lapses and the cool transitions and doing that sort of stuff is kind of the part of making a really cool, fun video, And yeah, so it's hard for me to pull back from that as much as, and I have tried. I've cut back just a little bit, but more and more I do that, is probably what would make things just a little bit better and easier too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, if you get formulaic with it, and like Cog, like Cog Hill, he is one of my first influences, and he has like a formula. Like, starts the video, he's going to feed like the emus and the goats and the cows and all that stuff, and then he gets into like what project or whatever he's doing. But like some people will literally just tune in to watch him feed the animals. Like, and after that they stop watching, but then there's some people that will fast forward to like the other thing, but they know what they're going to get every time, like at the beginning. It's a very, he's got his formula locked down. He posts a video every Tuesday and like every Saturday or whatever. And like, it's locked in, and he's had great success. I think it's building a rhythm and building like a routine for people, like especially with the live streams. Like every Wednesday, they know we're going live at 7 p.m. And we start to build like a little bit of following. We start seeing some of the same names. It's cool. It's cool when you start seeing that.
It really is.
Especially the fig folks. They love them some figs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those fig guys for sure.
Absolutely.
We have a good, the fig community was quite robust, and there's been fun ups and downs, and I think I just wanted to see some, like, I don't know. I think me just saying, let's go for it. And it was a way for me to connect. Creating this channel was a way for me to connect. And I think that is something that, like, I really like seeing yours, Enoch, where it's like, you're like the fascia of the garden world a little bit, where it's like, you are just wrapping and connecting everyone all together into this giant network, if you will. And because like, I think I've learned more in the past, like just this podcast alone, the past year about gardening than I've learned in the past 5 years of gardening on my own. Yeah. And I can't, that is just, it's a gift for me to do this. And so I'm glad other people are joining in, but at the end of the day, that's what I say. It's like, at the end of the day, how cool is it that we just get to go and meet great people like you, Enoch, and just like keep going and learning this whole, it's one big fourth dimensional journey.
I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's in that sense of just sharing and connecting with people. But again, too, kind of coming back to the fact that I don't really, consider myself a garden educator or someone really, teaching real great aspects of gardening. So on what you're saying there about learning, that's kind of what this is about for me, is I get to have all these cool gardeners, whether they're authors, YouTubers, podcasters, Instagrammers, all that, who have all this great garden knowledge. And I get to have a conversation with them and learn from them about certain things and then transfer that out to everybody else through the show, so that so it's sharing that with everybody else. And so I'm constantly learning tons and tons of great new stuff every single weekend.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And, I think it's important, that there are some experts on certain things, but nobody's an expert at everything.
Right.
I get grass questions, lawn questions all the time. Like, hey, I am not your guy when it comes to lawn. And it's important to be honest about that. I'm not an expert about a lot of stuff.
But here's the thing: you can say, "But I know a guy. I know."
That's exactly. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Boom.
It's a journey. It's definitely a journey.
Yeah, I might not be able to tell you about this certain aspect of whatever you're wanting to know about in your garden, but I can definitely point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
Right.
Not it was so.
Or maybe now you can because of your show.
For sure.
Right.
Because you picked up so many pieces along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. My thing though, too, when, and expanding on that idea of like not being a garden educator or teacher, and and maybe I'll get a little bit better, but it's I don't know if I necessarily have the ability to convey information that I've learned from someone else. It gets in my head. I get and I can understand it. I can apply it for myself and all of that, but then translating that back to someone else to teach them what I've learned has always been a challenge for me.
Yeah. And I definitely wouldn't consider myself. I tell people vehemently that I am not an expert. I'm just a plant. I'm just a plant hoarder trying to figure it out.
That's right.
And people like that. And I'm wrong a lot. I think the best thing to do is be as optimistic and be as fun and helpful as you can. Be honest
and welcoming. Like Dustin, you bring people in. Like when we did our fig thing, you're like, how can I give these fig trees away? Or like, how can we get more cuttings out to people? And that was such a great foundation to start with. And everyone was fired up over those cuttings. We burned through them in like 40 minutes. And then we had like, I've never seen so many fig trees given away ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not even in the fig community.
Did you get cuttings filled? I think maybe I kept.
Maybe I have plenty of cuttings.
Well, I know. I think I might have taken one of each.
I might have taken one of each. The varieties that he sent us, I didn't have. Like
the
other ones.
Yeah, and I mean it's so cool. Like you were saying, like someone was saying, facilitating the community. Like if I can do an event, like I had spoke with someone about wanting to do like, because I've been obsessed with like desert roses and like caudiforms, and wanting to get more into like that kind of stuff. And I've got probably 50 desert roses now. And I talked to a local nursery who has a lot of desert roses and stuff, like want to do like desert rose festival, have like a contest, who has the prettiest one in show, you know what I mean? Like people bring their desert rose and have classes like size, and bonsai style, non-bonsai, and like, so have like a little exposure. And I've noticed like some plants that I've really highlighted on my channel have gotten a little more popular. Like I'd never seen desert roses sold at Lowe's and Home Depot before. I either that or I never noticed them. It's the Mandela effect. I was like, did I see them before, or like it's kind of weird like that. I was like, were they there before, or am I just now noticing that they're there now? It's strange.
Yeah, it's kind of like I got this scion a while back ago, and I never really noticed him, never really saw him or anything like that. But then I bought and had this scion, and the next thing you know, I'm seeing scions everywhere. They're all over the place.
Are you talking about XAs and XBs, like the car?
I have an XA, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
I didn't know what I thought.
But I never really paid attention to them, never really noticed them or anything. But once I had one, then they were everywhere. I see them all over all the time.
I call it the GTA effect, the Grand Theft Auto effect, where it's all of a sudden when you get that car, it's everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a weird thing, but I love doing the meetups. Like oh my god, my 2025 is already looking very crazy with events and stuff, and I keep telling myself I'm not going to do as many events and be a little more picky, but like they keep adding up. But
That-
it's good. It's good.
yeah, it is great. And I want to do more meetups. I haven't been able to do much traveling and everything. A little bit this last year, but the last couple of years just haven't been much of anything. And that's like literally how I got started with all my channel and stuff, was literally like I was saying earlier. I was driving up and down from Los Angeles to Seattle, all points in between, just constantly meeting up and doing videos and trying to check out other people's gardens and doing all that sort of stuff and checking out the different shows. The Seattle, in fact, I'll be going back again this next February to the Seattle Flower and Garden Show, which is just an amazing show. So I know you guys won't be able to make it, but definitely look out for one of my videos when I do that and stuff, because or you can check out my channel and see some of the past ones if you've never been up to Seattle for that Seattle show.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing garden show. And then the one down in Southern California now, which was in Northern California, the National Heirloom Exposition, and just doing all that sort of stuff. So much fun.
Yeah, I think
travel more.
I think we're gonna try, and I'll have to get behind the scenes and get offline and start sending out the feelers. But I was thinking like Smith's Garden Town in Wichita Falls. We had talked about doing like a meetup there. It's about 2 hours north of Dallas, but it's a huge nursery, like generational owned. We've had Michael Fiore on, and they do a lot of cool classes and events and everything. And I think next year is like their 75th anniversary or whatever. Or this year, I forget which one it was. But it's kind of like a central location because it's like a 4 or 6 hour drive from for Vikram. Phil could fly into Dallas. I could pick him up. I could pick up Dez in the way. And then like if some people want to fly in, they can like find a DFW and we can all carpool up to Wichita Falls. So maybe it's just something I need to I need to set a date on that maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe in the late spring or something.
Yeah, that would be lots of fun.
So we'll have to talk offline about that. Maybe we can do a live garden party with everybody.
That would be cool, huh? I know that's one of the things I've been thinking about too, that I want to like try to maybe see if I can't set up for the Heirloom Exposition this next year or something like that, but do kind of a live audience.
You should totally do it.
Do a live audience, Let's Get Growing show.
Yeah,
it was
get
so
a couple of them, get them all up on a thing.
Yeah,
I spoke
kind of like a live panel almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it, and you will have so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that would be so cool.
I would reach out to them, dude, and like, because I'm going to be doing a couple of expos, like conventions or whatever, and they want me to do a live stream, like kind of podcast kind of thing from the site, and I've done it. I did one last year where I did more live streams and everything, and it was a lot of fun. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to them, and they may just offer you like a booth, like, or they might have a rotating booth, like where people can do stuff like that. And just set up, and like I thought about, I got a Pelican case and my camera stuff. I was like, well, I can fit my microphone and my Mac Mini and a monitor. I can do all this. I think from remote, and probably have way better internet than what I do now.
Yeah. See, again, the technological side of it. If I can wrap my mind around all of the things that it's going to take to make it happen on that side of it all, I think I could probably pull it off. It would be really great. And I've got the connections at the Heirloom Exposition to be able to get that set up and do that. So I think it would be a lot of fun. Especially
if like you're promoting the event as well. Doing it, and then have like, and also film some episodes and like bank a couple, and have those, it's like that as well.
And like even that Seattle show, I was thinking about the same thing, maybe doing kind of a, because that's in February, and then doing like 2 live shows, do that from there in Seattle and then do one down from Southern California. I was just looking at the lineup of for the Seattle Garden Show, and there's well over a half a dozen or more people who are on that lineup who've actually been on my show. So
wow.
So like that would be great. If they've already been on the show, you can already just get them there live and just, do kind of a little, maybe even set up like a booth, like a little Let's Get Growing booth with a couple of chairs and a camera or something right there.
Is it the official Northwest Flower and Garden Festival?
Yeah.
Or is it the Northwest Flower and Garden Show? February 19th.
February 19th, yeah. 19th through 23rd or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and even if they don't like offer you a booth, maybe you can get a sponsor and someone will pay for you.
I think it's like the second largest garden show in the States.
That's awesome.
It's a really amazing show.
That's
Lots of great
fantastic.
stuff. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, maybe some sort of sponsorship or something like that, or some way
Yeah.
of doing that sort of thing. Yeah, it'd be great.
Or even if it's a company you work with, or if it's a company you like work with on a regular basis, maybe those let you use like their booth, like a part of it, to do it. So that
I think even Ivy Organics, Charles, I think even we mentioned or talked about a little while back ago about maybe kind of going together on a booth or something like that. So
yeah, he's been on. Charles is really cool. Charles is so cool.
He popped in today at the beginning of the chat.
Yeah. He'll be on the show Saturday. It's our year-end thing, so it's a year-end last show. So I'm gonna have Charles on, we'll have Sarah on, and that sort of stuff.
That's awesome, dude.
Charles is really awesome.
Super down to earth guy. He's really nice.
Yeah, it was. I was literally like my first trip down to Los Angeles of doing my my channel, and I had him on a list of people that I wanted to go see, but I'd already booked out the days, and so I went down there and started doing some meetups, and one of my days the person canceled, and I was already out like in Hollywood somewhere about to meet up with this person, and they canceled on me like last minute. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So I was like, oh, pull out that list and see if there's somebody on there that maybe I could go and do something real quick with. And it was the first one on the list right there was Charles, because he was doing this thing with this organization called A Million Drops, which is a homeless organization in Los Angeles, and he was there helping them learn about gardening and urban gardening and that sort of stuff in this sort of space and church that they had, where they had this garden space for everybody. And I just thought it was like a really cool thing. He's out there teaching people and stuff. And I called him up and I was like, hey man, it's last minute. I'm here for just a little bit. You wouldn't want to come meet up with me. And like literally like 20 minutes later, he's there. We're hanging out, and after that, he takes me out to lunch and treats me like I'm like some YouTube channel with like 1 million subscribers or something. You know what I mean? And I was just this little, just this little channel with, next to nothing. And I was like, man, that's just a way to go about the world, is, treating people like that, and Charles is just an amazing person when it comes down to that. And one of those real big influences that pushed me forward too, because of that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm always amazed at like how down to earth like bigger channels are. They're really, really cool. Phil, you got to bounce, dude. Is it your time?
I have to bounce.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. We're going to end. We're going to end it. Enoch. I just want to keep going to say Enoch.
It's all right. Most people do, actually.
Let everybody know what you got going on, who's coming on this week, and where they can find you.
All right. Well, the Urban Gardener channel on YouTube is your best bet to find me there. And it's our Let's Get Growing show again on Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And as I was mentioning just a minute ago, Saturday, we are going to be doing kind of a year in review. We'll have like Charles on. Sarah's Seed Shop she does a segment for us, so she'll be on. We'll probably have a couple of others as well. It's kind of a little kind of hangout or whatever. Sunday, though, is the third Sunday of the month, so we're doing our gardening book club, and so we'll have Diane Meisler, who wrote the book Grow Your Soil, will be on the show for that. We've been featuring her book this month. And then after that, we're going to take about 2 weeks off, I would say, and then right after the first of the year, we'll be right back, and will be an exclusive right here for the garden party, because I haven't told even my own channel or anybody else who we're going to be having on. But we're going to have for our Saturday show, I believe it's the 4th is what I'm thinking is the 4th, we'll have Kyle Haggerty from the Urban Farmstead out of Sacramento. Cool. He's got a great channel, does a lot of stuff, really nice. So he'll be on for Saturday, and then our Sunday. And then our Sunday show, we are going to be doing a gardening roundtable, and we're going to have Gary Pilarchik from the Rusted Garden, along with Callie Kim, who's going to be on the show.
I've heard
as
of
well.
Callie Kim. Yeah, I
Yeah,
follow
she's
her.
a long time OG YouTube gardener and all of that, and her and Gary have done several things together and collaborated together. So I thought it'd be fun to have them both together to do a roundtable and that and all of that. You guys have heard of the Rusted Garden? Again, these two are OGs. They're like some of the really original YouTube gardeners. But Gary Pilarchik and Callie Kim for our Sunday show. And that's what we're going to do to get started with the 2025 growing year. And of course, you know that sometime throughout 2025, we're going to have Destin and Phil back on for
of course
another time for sure.
Well, we'll have to do is we'll have to do. I saw StreamYards will let you stream. Like so, if you invite me, so we could do a share cast. We could do a stream. Yeah. We could do we do one of those. So that'd be kind of
neat. Yeah, that would be fun.
Let's get it garden party here. We'll figure something out.
yeah.
Yes,
that would be so awesome.
We might have to make that a regular thing now. They'll do it. Phil, let everybody know where they can find you, dude, and let them know you got coming up.
You guys can find me at Phil's Figs Everything. I have my fig cuttings that are originally planned for December 22nd, but because we had a week of freezing temperatures and down to the 20s, my sap flow has really stopped. And so now my trees are fully dormant. I'm ready to do some cuttings. I'm going to bump it up to, if anyone's here now, I'm going to send out an email to everyone who's on my email list at philsfigs.com because I'll have details there. So sign up at the bottom. But December 15th, I'm going to launch my fig cutting sale. So
that is awesome, dude.
That sounds great.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate y'all coming on. I appreciate having you. I appreciate you coming on, man. It's always a pleasure.
Anytime, man. You ever need to fill in something, somebody cancels or anything like that, man, you just shoot me an email and I'll be right on.
You got it, dude. Yeah, it's always I love that I have like a rotating cast of characters that like I can just pretty much call upon, like, oh, they're down to come on. It's awesome. So I appreciate y'all make it easy. Booking is not that hard on mine because I can make a couple texts and someone's coming on. So
That's right, man.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank y'all so much, and we'll see you next week. And Josh from Plant Techie is going to be on, and Des will be back. So thank y'all very much, and we'll see y'all next week. See you later, guys. In the stream.